everybody. Welcome back to Everything Actually with me, your host, Ashley Fisher. Today, we have another lovely, amazing guest star. This is my sister, Tiffany. Tiffany, give a little introduction, a little quick spiel about yourself. Let the people know.
Hello, hello. I am Ashley's sister. I'm going into my senior year of college. I'm a nursing major in the wonderful city of Boston, and I play basketball.
Awesome. Cute little summary, so to say. She is home in New Jersey. I'm still moved out living in Tampa. So, this is how we're going to be coming at you guys today for episode 20. So, today's episode is going to be similar to my last one that I just uploaded with my roommate Andrea. We have an overarching theme that I asked Tiffany how she feels about it, her opinions and thoughts. Let her tell me, and then I'll go into how I feel, and hopefully we can reach some kind of answer to my questions. Did I tell you what today's episode is about, or are you completely in the dark?
Completely in the dark.
Okay. So essentially, these are going to be dealing with different relationship dynamics. So we have like a family one, a friend one, a romantic one, a work one. And they're just instances that can happen that my main question is, if something happens, do you mention it to them, like bring it up to fix it? Do you just keep an eye on it to be like, okay, are they going to keep doing this, or is this just a one-off type of thing? Do you leave them, or do you accept that they won't change and you're still going to keep going with that relationship?
All right.
Alrighty. So this is what I wrote for the introduction. I said, me personally, I think that Tiffany is a very forgiving person. I don't know if it's because she's the youngest sibling, but people will obviously screw her over, and she's just like, oh, well, it's fine. We can still be friends, whatever. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, that's pretty valid.
Okay. And whereas I think at first, because I'm always changing, hence why we're talking about this to see where I'm at. If somebody does me wrong, I feel like I used to be, or maybe still am a little, I'll kind of yell at them for it. I'll snap at them. I'll call them out on it, being like, why did you do this? I am not okay with that. I'm the type of person to immediately address it. However, when I'm learning more that we'll get into, there's the let them theory by Mel Robbins that is essentially let people come and go out of your life to protect your own peace. And if somebody's going to be rude to you time and time again, you shouldn't have to keep addressing it if they're not going to change for you. So I think I want to, I don't know, just go from each situation, because I don't think that you should let people walk all over you. However, I also don't feel that you need to address every minor thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess it depends on exactly what it is, which I guess is what we're getting to.
Let's say your boyfriend keeps doing one thing that pisses you off. Now, I guess this can go, I was going to say two ways, but I'll just word it how I have it.
Okay.
Your boyfriend keeps doing this one thing that bothers you. Even though you keep bringing it up, he still does it. Do you keep mentioning it? Do you leave? Or do you accept that he won't change and you stay in that relationship for what it is and for how he is?
I feel like a lot of these, I'm initially going to think like, oh, it depends on what it is, but I'm going to try to give like, an answer.
Well,
So,
you can get specific, because I get if he's cheating on you time and time again,
right,
then maybe you should leave. But let's say he never pays for your food when you go out.
right.
then that's like, okay, if you know that he never does it, and even though you told him it makes you upset and he still doesn't do it, I think that's the do you leave, do you stay?
Yeah. I think it's more so just the principle of it. Like, unless it's something that, like, let's say it's a tradition of his family that every year they, I don't know, throw a party and get drunk. And let's say I don't like him drinking or whatever. It's like that's something that's important to him. And I think it's important to have that conversation of like, I keep saying this upsets me and you keep doing it. Like, is there a reason why? Like giving him kind of a chance to explain himself. Cause maybe there is a side of the story that I'm not seeing, but I think it gets to a point where it's like if you keep bringing it up, no matter how big or small, and he keeps doing it, he obviously is disrespecting you. Like then it becomes something bigger where it's like you're not even making an effort to stop or to try. Like obviously when it comes to stuff like that, like substances, like that's a whole different situation because it's like maybe he can't stop, maybe it's not as easy. Like that's a whole different route. But if it's something simple and like he's at least trying to show that he's trying to make an effort to change, I think that's all that matters. Like even with the paying for the food situation, like if he has, you know, financial issues and isn't able to, but once a month he's like, hey, like this one's on me. At least that's something. At least it shows that he's hearing you and he's trying to make a change. But if it's just like excuse after excuse, I feel like it's got to be a, you know, different situation.
I feel with romantic relationships, because the way that these questions are laid out is that, so I think your romantic partner should be one of, if not like the most important person in your life. So then when I go into like a work situation, it's like that's not
Yeah.
as like you guys don't need to see eye to eye on everything because they're just somebody that you work with, versus if it's somebody that you want to spend the rest of your life with. I think it's just that comes to long term, is it okay or not? Like if he doesn't change that one thing, are you able to accept that and continue with your relationship?
Yeah. I think, again, I think it's going to repeat itself. Like, let's say it starts off as that, and you're like, oh, it's if he doesn't buy me food, like, it's fine. You know, I'm independent. I can pay for myself, yada, yada. But it's like, that's not the point. The point is that you kept bringing it up and he didn't change. So now, if you guys get married and now become something bigger, it's like, okay, well, you saw early on, yeah, it started with food, but now he's, you know, not doing the dishes. You come home from work and you have to cook, clean, do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, hey, can you just, you know, unload the dishwasher? And you bring it up and up and up. Like they're gonna pile up. So even though they're small things, it's just like he doesn't respect you, he doesn't respect your feelings. And he's like, oh well, from the jump, I was able to just not do what she wanted me to do. So why would it be any different now?
I completely agree. So unless you have any other points about this topic, I think I'm going to summarize that and move on to the next question. So I think just your romantic partner, it really comes down to communication, and that you need to see if, yeah, bottom line, if he's going to change, and if he doesn't, if you're okay with that for the rest of your life. It can start as something super duper small, as in like, yeah, he doesn't hold your bag when you're in the airport or whatever, and then that changes into you have 3 kids in the airport and he's not holding their luggage either. You're the one having to do all of that.
Right.
All right, okay, that one's out of the way. And I like that you brought it up as like a respect thing, that it's not even about the money of
Yeah.
spending $5 on ice cream. It's about, I would feel loved if you do this for me, and I asked you and you still do not do it.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's about friendships. I have like 3 different examples, and it also then goes into um different, I don't know what I can't think of the word, but like different case scenarios pretty much.
Okay.
So, a friend, let's say, here are different ones. So, number 1, they only hit you up when they need something.
Mm.
So, I have somebody that they're not that they're following in my footsteps, but I'm kind of like living, where they moved to. I just know a lot and have. I don't want to get specific in it, but basically it's somebody who only hits me up when they have a question about something that I know.
Yeah. I mean, if that's really all it is just like asking advice, I think I would kind of almost take it as like a compliment. Like they trust you to ask you these things, you know, like they see you that you are doing good and that you're successful in whatever it is. And like they're kind of asking, I guess, your thoughts on it. I think you can look at it in a good way until it gets to a point where it's like if they're constantly asking you for money or something, I feel like that's a whole different
No.
story where it's like, okay, if it's
Just advice.
inconveniencing, say that again.
It's just advice.
Just advice, yeah. I mean, if you got the time to answer their questions, I wouldn't mind that. Because I mean, what the alternative would just be like not answering them. I don't think that would bother me, but again, if it's like inconveniencing you or you're getting annoyed by it, then I don't see an issue and just I don't know. I don't like ghosting, but I'd be fine with it.
My issue with this is I don't know. It's just my like particular situation at first because it's been like years that this has been going on. And I have not like this person has not asked me to hang out every single time that they're contacting me. It's asking a question or a
Yeah.
question that their friend had that they wanted to ask me. And what bothers me furthermore, and not even just about this case, in general, when somebody immediately asks for a favor without like asking how you are or anything. So they'll text me and just be like, hey, what do you know about X, Y, and Z?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, how are you? When was the last time that you asked like how I was doing? You're asking these questions assuming that I'm still in the same situation. Like, you, yeah, I just kind of feel a little like icky about that when somebody immediately is like, hey, I need a favor from you. But I'm like, even though if you're like, it's not real, in my head, it is kind of a favor. I know just them asking a question, how hard is it for me to really respond? But it's like when you are only asking me questions, I kind of feel used in a sense.
Yeah. No, I get that. They could be a little bit more considerate, especially since they are like asking you something. Yeah, I agree with that. They could go about it better.
Because does that bother you if somebody were to text you, or do you think it's worse that they're being kind of fake? Like if you feel like they don't care, if somebody was like, hey, how are you? And you're like, I just tore my ACL, like things aren't like going the best, like blah 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 blah, and they're like, "Oh, damn," and then just asked you the question. So it's like they didn't even care in the first place. They were just asking to be nice.
Yeah. I yeah, I feel like at that point it's like just get to the point. Like what do you want from
Yeah, okay.
me?
Yeah. Okay. So another one. What about I have somebody that only hits me up when they want to come and visit. So they don't really text me being like, hey, how are you doing? It's always, every time I get a text from them, it's, hey, I have a free week next month. Can I come out?
Honestly, again, like I don't know if this is just trying to be the like positive and see the best in people, but like their free weekend, like they want to spend it with you. You know, like I mean, again, you don't know if they texted like 20 other people, but at the same time, it's like I've noticed that a lot, especially with like hometown friends. Like I literally just found out last week that someone got upset because I only text them when I'm home to hang. And it's like, I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to use the excuse that like being away, like you kind of fade, but it's like, again, at least when I come home, like I am thinking of you and like I want to see you. But I personally think that that's sweet that like they're reaching out and, you know, seeing if you're free to come visit. I mean, again, it would be something different if they're just like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, be in Florida next week. Like, can I come stay at your place or something? But it's
Yeah.
like if they're saying like, "Oh, I want to see you. Like, I'm free. Like, can I come?" I think it's sweet that they're thinking of you and reaching out. And yeah,
Yeah. Because what ties into what you just said, how like even when you're home, that's when you hit other people up. Same thing happens to me, but a little differently. When I go home, there's somebody who, the second I'm home, they know and they're like, oh, let's hang out. And I'm pretty much like, yeah, like, let's hang. But reflecting, I'm like, I've been gone for the past year and you have not reached out to me once. So now that I'm home, why are you the one person I'm going to choose to hang out with? And to make it worse, because how you just said, like, oh, you just aren't thinking of them when you're away, I will reach out to this person. I will text them, I will call them, and they will not answer me. So I think it's a little different.
Yeah, like that case, I understand the frustration because it's like you kind of, ghost me or like throw me on the back burner or whatever. But like, if it kind of is going both ways, where like you guys both kind of get involved in your whatever's going on, and then you come home and it's like, oh my goodness, how are you? Like, miss you. Like, let's hang out, let's catch up. Like, that's my situation at least that I'm referring to, where I was like, the whole time you were at school, you didn't hit me up either, but like, I'm the bad person in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think if it's like for months you were texting them and they're not answering, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're back, let's hang out. It's like, bro, you didn't care about me that whole time. Like, I was making an effort. Then yeah, I understand that frustration.
Do you think that like the intentions versus the reality matters?
Yeah, I think intentions matter with a lot of things. And I think, I mean, would you confront these people about it and just be like, hey, like, this is how I feel?
Well, I guess that's literally the whole question around this being like, would you, so for the, thanks for bringing that up. For these three case scenarios, would you, should I tell the person who only ever asks me questions, being like, hey, are we ever gonna like hang out, or do you only use me for information? Do I tell the person who only hits me up when I'm home? I kind of feel like with that situation, I've just accepted like the entire time I was in college, they would not answer my texts. So I'm like, it being 4 or 5 years now, I'm like, they're just like this. Now I know next time I go home, if I have 2 days to see my friends, they might not be at the top of my priorities because they ghost me when I'm gone.
Yeah. I think for the friend one, like at home, I would, when you guys are hanging out, I'd be like, by the way, like, we didn't talk the entire time we were at school. Like, what's up with that? Like, we should be better with that. Like, I feel like me and
I
my
did.
friends always say, like, oh, yeah, we need to be better with texting, better with this. And like, we'll acknowledge it at least so that we know. But with the one in the question, like asking the questions and stuff, that one's a tough one. I mean, I guess if you want to bring it up, but I feel like wording it might be weird. Like, are you using me for answers? Like,
Not like that. Yeah, that's why I'm like, maybe that is just me overthinking it. Like, I really do not think that she is thinking twice about it, which is why I'm like, I don't want to say that. And then she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's so not how I meant for it to come across. And then I'm just kind of embarrassed for even saying anything. But the other option is I just ghost her. So it's like,
yeah, think if it genuinely bothers you, you should say something, and then at least she knows like to change her approach. Or even if you just want to be like, hey, like we should totally hang out sometime, then like at least it shows her like, oh, like she wants to, because maybe she's like, oh, she doesn't want to hang out with me, like she's too cool for me.
I guess to wrap that one up with friendships, I don't know if this is just going to be your approach with everything, that like communication is the best policy, but do you think, because how I've taken those approaches, it's just I'm doing like the let them.
Yeah, I think that especially with friendships, like I've kind of been on the receiving end of it, and I think that I at least try to give some type of, maybe like closure isn't the right word, but
What do you
just
mean
being
receiving end?
like where a friend, like how I was saying, my friend was like, oh, she only hits me up when we're home, but like
Mm,
that person didn't tell me, it came from someone else. So it's like, I think that a lot of issues can be fixed if you do, like you said, communicate and just say something. Cause like you said, they might not even be thinking of it like that. So it's like, at least if you say, hey, listen, this is how I feel, it kind of goes back to a relationship thing. Like if they choose to change, great. But if not, then it's like, okay, at least they know how they made you feel. And if they kept doing it, that's on them. But at least you gave them the chance to change instead of just being like, you know what? I'm not going to hit them up. And then they're wondering, like, oh my gosh, Ashley's home and she didn't hit me up. Like, that's rude. That's why. And then it snowballs into this whole thing
correct.
when it's like you could have just said from the beginning. And then they're like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Well, okay, yeah. I was gonna say with your situation though, I fully believe like phone works both ways. Like for
Yeah.
them to be like, oh, you have not hit me up once, it's like, okay, let's go to the text messages. Let's see who was the last person to hit somebody up. Oh, what I was gonna say with college friendships, because obviously we've both been through this, well, like having people at home. And now I'm kind of seeing the opposite of it being graduated now. Like my college friends who I used to live with, talk to every single day, I'm literally speaking to them like, like a few times a month, if that, just because we're not in the same world anymore. However, I do still make a point to talk to them. It's not that I've completely like fallen off, that they're just ghosted. Like you you do need to make an effort to keep your friendships that aren't in your immediate like 5 mile radius. And I think that that's me personally. I value stuff like that. I don't like going months without talking to one of my friends because I just, to my core, do not believe that that is a good friend. If you don't know how they are doing, if you don't have a basic life update, maybe like a 10-minute phone call at the minimum, like once every 2 or 3 months, then it's like you don't care about that person, which I'm like hesitating to say, but genuinely, if you care about somebody, you're checking in on them.
Yeah, I agree
Like
with that.
we've been long distance for like 5 years now, and it's like we talk more than once a week because I love you, I care about you. So it's like it's not like I'm like, oh, she's in New Jersey, I'm not. It's just hard to stay in touch. It's like it's really not. You just text, Snapchat, like it is so easy to stay in contact with somebody nowadays. It's literally just about somebody picking up and reciprocating.
Honestly, the social media aspect might be a double-edged sword because it's like, let's say I see like your private and that's how I feel like your private story and that's how I feel like connected to you and stuff. So like this whole time we're snapping, we're whatever, and like so I'm thinking like I know what's going on in your life based on that and whatever, but like I don't really know, but I kind of get that false sense of like connection. So like maybe in my head, like I wouldn't think,
Interesting.
you know what I'm saying? Like I won't think to
Yeah.
call you because I'm like, okay, like I'm updated. I kind of have an idea what's going on. Like I see where she's working, what she's doing, how that's going. So like it kind of, but then from your aspect, you could be like, dude, she hasn't texted or called me or whatever. Like she must not care. But I'm watching every single story. Like I'm updated. I'm like, oh yeah, like we're locked in.
But then why wouldn't you say something?
Like
Like if
what?
you see that if you were to see one of your friends is studying abroad in Italy, are you just going to look and be like, oh, wow, that's cool? Or are you going to go a step further and be like, wow, that is such a great opportunity for you. I can't wait to see everything that you post. You're going to grow so much there.
Yeah, that should. Yeah, yeah. Valid point.
Thanks. Like,
Say me and you as friends and our family.
you said you think of us as friends?
Like yeah, because we were just I just used you as the example, but that was
Well, yeah, because I mean, it gets to the point, like, I think, which is kind of a crazy thing to say, but you know how they're like, friends are the family that you choose. Like, I feel like now this is not obviously not what I'm doing, but like living on my own, paying my own bills. Like, if I were to ghost like my sister, my brother, my mom, my dad, it's like technically I can. I feel like you reach a point in your life where you can decide how not heavy but like influential, like how much your family is in your life. When you were growing up, you lived with them, you were with them almost 24/7, versus now it's like I rarely see them. Like I will go months at a time, not to get sad, but like go months at a time without seeing them. So it's like if one of us doesn't pick up the phone, like that relationship can easily deteriorate, and it's family.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's so yeah.
Okay, so this is a roommate one. I keep wanting to just give my opinion on it first, but when I do that, that like defeats the point and it's bias and everything. So pretty much not to be like how much can your roommate get away with, but they let's say they left dishes in the sink for like 3 days straight and then they wash them. And then a month goes by and the dishes are fine. But then they end up doing that again. They leave dirty dishes in the sink for 3 days, but then they don't do it again for another like month. Do you bring it up?
I think, yeah, I bring it up, but obviously, like, trying to use a calm approach instead of like accusatory. So it's like, don't leave your dirty dishes in the sink. Like, you're a slob. Like, obviously, now they're going to, well, most likely be like petty. And then, but if you're like, hey, like, I noticed this, and even like making it seem as in like, not making it seem, that sounds whatever, but like kind of more of a, like a checking in. Like, you know how some people, like, if stuff starts to get dirty, like that could kind of be a sign of something or whatever. So it's like just kind of checking in. And even, I mean, for me personally, like sometimes if I'm doing my dishes and there's just like a couple in there, I'll just wash them anyways. So it could also just be like if you do them once and they kind of notice that and just being like, hey, like I noticed you left your dishes in the sink. Like, is everything okay? I don't know. I mean, I guess just finding the right way to say something, but I definitely would. I think in any instance, if something is genuinely bothering you, say something.
With a living situation or with anything?
With anything, but especially living, because it's like you want to be comfortable you want to be comfortable where you live. Like it shouldn't get to a point where it's like you're avoiding going back to your room because you're not happy there, you're not safe there, you're not comfortable there.
I agree.
For me, like this past year I had some roommate debacles, and I feel like a lot of the time when like they would say something to me, my biggest thing was like, why do you care? Like, why does it matter to you? So like in some instances, if like stuff they do has no impact on you at all and you're bringing it up, that's when I would
Like
get kind
what?
of
Like what would they say being
like one example was the laundry. We each had a kind of like designated day for the laundry. So let's say I was doing it on Tuesday. I
mm-hmm.
text in the morning, be like, I'm doing my laundry, and they'd be like, okay, like sounds good. And then by like 3 o'clock, they're like, hey, your laundry's been in there for 2 hours. Can you take it out? And I'm like, nobody else is doing it today. Like, if I want my clothes to get wrinkly, that's on me. Like, you guys all said
Yeah.
nobody needed it today. So why does it impact you?
Yeah,
That's
that's going back on like a previous agreement. Like you guys made this agreement so nobody would be petty about laundry.
exactly. So it's like, yeah, if it was all, I think that's the only instance with roommates where it's like don't say anything if it has no impact on you. Like if just the idea of it bothers you, but it
Like it's
doesn't
pissing you off, but you don't have a reason for it to be pissing you
yeah,
off.
like
Because
let's
I
say her
understand that.
bathroom was filthy. You have no say on that. You have no business being in her bathroom. That's not your place. Like that's
Agreed.
a point where it's like roommate, let them live how they live unless it actually like has an impact on you.
Yeah. So now into the next topic. So let's
Yeah.
say I'm in a group chat. It's me and two other people. It is Thursday, and me and one of the girls are like adamantly trying to make plans. We're saying like, hey, let's do something Friday. Hey, let's do something Saturday. Hey, let's do something Sunday. The third person doesn't get back to us until Monday saying, hey guys, sorry, I've just been super duper busy. Like,
Wrong
sorry
answer.
guys. What?
Wrong answer.
I was gonna say, how do you feel about that? Like somebody kind
I
of ghosts plans all weekend.
yeah, whether it's in like a group or alone, I hate that. Like you're never that busy that you can't answer a text and like it doesn't have to be immediate, but like if it's longer than a couple hours even like that gets me, especially now like how easy it is to communicate. Like we're not writing by pigeon. Like there's no reason you should be taking a week to get back to me. Like it frustrates me. I don't know.
So, to the theme of this, what do? Do you say something? Do you just kind of acknowledge that they always ghost you when it's time for plans, so you stop making plans with them? Or do you tell them saying, hey, I think that was super inconsiderate of you to keep me waiting all weekend. If you want to make plans next time, you make them because I feel like I'm not a priority here.
Honestly, I've noticed this trend. I feel like it's very common with my male friends that they suck at making plans. So I will just try texting, try calling, and then if nothing happens, whenever we do wind up hanging out again, I'm like, that was really frustrating trying to make plans with you. And then if, you're trying to make those plans and it doesn't work out, make plans with someone else. Me personally, I always keep trying just because like I do like hanging out with them. So but it is very frustrating. I say something, but I still stay friends with them. And I guess in this case, it's kind of like accepting that that's just the way they are. So not really getting my hopes up.
Because with this scenario, I literally started texting back after they sent that thing being like, hey, I've just been super busy. I was going to say, like, hey, I thought that that was inconsiderate of you. You could have taken 1 second to text us back, letting us know that you were not going to be free all weekend. Like, or just, yeah, giving us a heads up. Like, I guess she was kind of saying, like, hey guys, like, I'm busy, like, da 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 da. But it was, we were texting every single day of the weekend, being like, hey, can we do tonight? Hey, can we do tonight? And it was just no answer. So we would try the next day. And then yeah, because I also feel like part of that, and this is up to you, honestly, like, let's say that you have possible plans Friday night, you're texting trying to make plans. What if somebody else texts you being like, hey, do you want to come out with me tonight? But you're like, I might be having plans with this group of people. But then what if they end up flaking on you because they just don't answer? Now it's like you saved your Friday night for these plans that aren't going to happen, whereas you could have went out and had a good time with somebody who is prioritizing you and your time.
Yeah, honestly, that happens a lot. Typically I'll kind of give it a time range in my head. Like let's say I text them at 8, I'll be like, all right, if they don't answer by 8:30, I'm going with the other person. And I'll be like, I'll let you know within the next 15 minutes or whatever. That's what I'll typically try to do because I strongly dislike nothing more than when I'll like clear out my Friday night to hang out with someone and then next thing you know, I'm in bed because they never got back to me.
I think it comes down to a respect thing, that if somebody is leaving you waiting for hours on end, they don't respect your time. They don't see it as that.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So I guess either accept that they're a flaky friend who can't make plans and move forward knowing that. Or so do you think I should have said something being like, hey, that was inconsiderate of you? Like, I would appreciate it next time if you would give us more of a heads up? Or is it fine that I didn't say anything and I'm kind of going by the let them theory of saying, okay, if they didn't want to make plans that weekend, fine. But now I'm not going to keep texting all weekend, every weekend, trying to make plans. I'm just going to leave it on them. When if they have a free night, they can text me saying, hey, I'm free tonight if y'all want to do something.
I would say something. Because,
And
like, again, that might just be the way they are, where they're like the type to just not answer texts. And it's like, at least if you say something, maybe they'll be like, oh, this really bothers her. Let me do it. Or I feel like it kind of gives you a right to then get mad, I guess, or like accept that that's who they are and then be like, all right, I won't ask them to hang out next time.
that's where I'm at. That I'm just like, okay, if they didn't like, because maybe it was a super busy. Like, I'm not denying the fact that they could have had a super busy weekend or that they weren't sure of plans, but the least they could have done is that, like, because what ended up happening when they did text Monday, she was like, oh, I have these other plans to do this with these people. So I'm like, okay, well, when did you make those plans? Like,
Right.
you knew that you were going to be doing something else on Monday while we were texting you Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday trying to get together. Like, the second that you knew that you weren't going to see us, you should have let us know.
Yeah, I say something, just putting it out there like that was, like you said, disrespectful of you. Let them know how you feel so that if you do
But do
start,
they not know that? They have to realize that even though they texted being like, hey, sorry, I was really busy, like, we could do this another time. It's like, do you not realize that leaving us without an answer for 4 days while we were continually texting and you just not answering is kind of not the nicest thing to do to your friends?
you would think, but
Like, yeah, maybe they really don't realize it, but I think it takes 2 seconds to reflect and be like, hey, if my friends were ignoring me all weekend and then had other plans and didn't let me know at their earliest convenience, I think that that's a little messed up of me.
I agree.
All right. So, yeah, it seems like we are following the theme where you're saying that you're like, well, no, I'm kind of backtracking on what I said. How I said that you're very like, you'll let them keep doing it. It sounds like you'll say something because it bothers you, but then if they keep doing it, that's where you decide if you still want to be friends or not. But it sounds like you're kind of I mean, with the hangout thing, you're like, I'll still be their friend, even if they're not the best with hanging out, but it's like I just accept that is who they are. And that's something that you're okay with. That's something that I don't think I would be okay with. If there was somebody that I kept trying to make plans with and time again they would not hang out with me or give me an answer, I would completely just cut them off and be like, yeah, we used to hang out and it used to be a lot of fun. Now you're just impossible to get a hold of and it is not worth my effort or energy to try and see you when obviously you don't want to put the same effort in trying to see me.
That's good. I I wish I could be a little bit
But
more.
no, the issue with that, how you were like the double bladed sword. I feel like with the episode I just did with Andrea, how I'm very black and white and with stuff. I'm like, well, either they're thinking this or they're not thinking this, and she's like, well, you don't know what they're thinking. So whereas I'm saying, obviously, it's disrespectful for you not to text somebody back. Maybe they don't feel that way, but in my head, I just don't understand how ignoring somebody. So I get the argument that it's like, oh, people aren't meant to be easily accessible 24/7. But it's if somebody's trying to see you and spend time with you, I think the least you can do is shoot them a text back, either saying, yes, I want to see you, or no, I won't have time.
Right. I agree with that. I think that's my biggest thing is like just say something. Like even if you don't want to hang out, just be like, hey, I'm not really in the mood to hang out. I'd rather that than you just not answer. And people are like sometimes when I bring this up to people, they're like, oh, well, I didn't answer, so I assumed you would just take that as a no. And I'm like,
That wasn't a no. That was a, I have no idea what you're doing or why you didn't answer.
right, because it's like I know you be on your phone too.
This one I think can be quick because I have a strong opinion on this already. So at work, I am one of the managers, meaning I'm in charge of other people. There was one girl who we started at, I already told you about this, but for the podcast's sake, Tiffany already knows like all of this tea. Like when I'm like somebody, she's like, I know who you're talking about. But for the sake of this,
Right.
so this girl at work, we both started the same time, but she stayed at her position, whereas I moved up. And she was like 2, 3 years older than me, something like that. I She kind of walked all over me and I never said anything about it because we were friends. She ended up leaving and literally left in not the most respectful manner. I felt that me and her were good friends and the way that she treated me her last day was not how you would treat a friend. And essentially I asked her to do something and she literally told me no. And I was like I'm the manager, like you like no wasn't an option, this is what I'm telling you to do. With something like that, I guess the question was being, do you say something when somebody is like disrespectful to you at work?
Yeah, because again, like it just comes down to a respect thing, and it's like, yes, you have like that friend thing, but it's knowing where the line is. And I feel like this might be totally going on a tangent, so I'll try to keep it centered. But it's like, you know, in high school, how you'll get like close with some high school teachers. It's like at the end of the day, you still know that there's a line. Like if they tell you to assignment, you can't be like, LOL, no, I'm not doing that. It's like
Yeah.
we can have a great relationship, we can chit chat all we want, but like at the end of the day, there is that boundary, and you have to know not to cross that. And if they do, it's just simply saying they don't respect you, whether that's as a friend or as a manager.
Beautifully said. I agree. I think that at work, what I said about this, I think that it is better to address things immediately. Like the first time somebody walks over you, I would cut it immediately because then people, and this works in other relationships too. For me, it's just more black and white when it's a work situation. If you let somebody, it's the whole, what is it? Give them a foot, they take a yard. Give them an inch, they take a foot, whatever it is, that it's like,
Inch mile.
what it's you let them do one thing one time and they think that they can do that every single time. So
Yeah.
if you don't cut it being like, hey, I was cool with this happening that one time, but if you keep doing this and this becomes a trend, like that's not okay. And if they fight back on it, I think what I had in my notes was to address it if it's something at work, especially if it's affecting your career, your rent money, you know what I mean? Address it immediately. And if they still disrespect you and aren't listening to you, bring it up to the manager. Find
Yeah.
somebody that they do respect. And if you are that highest person, and let's say she was disrespecting the manager, wasn't listening to what he's doing, fire her. Like, write her up. Because my manager, he literally said when I told him what happened, he was like, if she were still here, that would be a write up. And if she got 2 or 3 of those, she would be fired because it was not okay to do.
Yeah. Because honestly, it's like, I feel like we learned this at like a young age. I don't know, where it's like, even if you don't like someone, like there's instances where you still have to respect them. Like if you guys were equal coworkers and you were to be like, hey, can you go do this for me? And she was like, no, like that's a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if
Agreed.
there is some type of superiority, like you gotta
Hierarchy,
honor
yeah.
that.
I agree. All right, so that's the work one. So this one is, what if somebody tells you that they won't change?
Maybe dig a little deeper and like find out why.
What does
I
that like help you from? You just feel
like,
like understanding is maybe
yeah,
then
like if
you'll change your way, then you'll be like, oh, okay, actually, you don't have to change. I didn't see it that way.
Yeah, like if it's a perspective thing, or if it's just them being petty, or if it's like a genuine, what a type of relationship is this, or just in general?
Well, this is one specific thing. Like this is what made me think of it. So for everybody, our dad, he's about to turn 60 on 7-Eleven. Woohoo! Me and him growing up especially have butt heads and argued a bunch, and it's gotten a little heated. And then recently, like within the past like few months, we got into an argument and had a conversation where he was pretty much like, hey, like I love you, I love you. Like just because we argue doesn't mean anything less about our relationship. However, this is something that we need to figure out. We can't just get into these heated arguments and then not talk to each other for months because we care about each other, we love each other. But in the same breath, he did say, hey, I'm about to be 60. I'm not changing. Like who I am is who I am. So I kind of have two things with this. Obviously, I think that this is like a beautiful conversation, even just to have between like a 60-year-old man and a 22-year-old girl, that it's like acknowledging our difference and that arguments are going to happen. But when they do happen, how can we get past this and resolve it quickly without it turning into a relationship problem, so to speak? With that said, I don't know how true it is to be like, I'm 60, I'm not going to change. I guess if you've had this same characteristic trait or personality trait for 50 years of your life, I think it could be harder to change. Like I don't like if I was like, no, if you don't change this, our relationship simply will not work. Would he have been obviously theoretical, like whatever? Would he have been like, well, I'm still not going to change? I don't think that would have happened. Or
Hmm.
would he actually have found a way to change?
Right. I guess it also kind of goes with like, would you rather someone outright tell you I'm not going to change, or say like, okay, I will try to change, and like whole time they're not even trying?
Well, I think with that, you watch them. If somebody says, because I've been in that situation with romantic relationships where I'm like, hey, I need this to change, and every single time they would say, okay, I'll work on it. Okay, we'll work on it. Okay, we can make this better. And months would go by and absolutely nothing would change. And then that's when I decided, being like, you're
Right.
not changing. This isn't working. Like, just because you're saying that it'll get better, but it's like, was it because we literally could not like change it? Or was that they weren't trying because they thought I was still sticking around through it, you know what I mean, until I wasn't.
Hmm. I mean, so like, would you have rather from the jump them just be like, it's not going to change? Because at least for me, with my last relationship issue regarding religion and asking to change, like he straight up said, I'm not even going to give it a shot. And that made me mad because I was like, you're not even going to try. But like at the same time, it's like, I can't really be mad. You're honest with me. Like, So it's like, would you rather them just straight up not even try to change, or? do you respect that they're at least being honest and acknowledging, like, yeah, I'm not going to change?
I wouldn't want them to lie about it, being like, yeah, I'll try. And it's like they're not trying at all. I think that if somebody, like with your religious standpoint, I
Yeah.
think that in my head, that's a little like harder to influence. I don't know. I was going to say it's like a way of life, but honestly, anything about you is your way of life. Like, but I think that that's, yeah, like it saves you time by him just being like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. Like,
Mhm.
sorry, I'm not, I don't care to try. And that can go into a whole different thing being like, well, why wouldn't you want to try for me over this one thing? But it's like, you just sneeze.
Yeah.
God bless you. But
Thanks.
what is it? Would I rather them try and change, or if they know they won't, just tell me that they won't?
Well, obviously, you'd want them to try and change, but would you rather them say, I'm not going to change, or say, I'll try, but not actually try?
I would say I'll try. I don't, yeah, because I would believe it. But then that's that. If they're like, okay, I'll try, then okay, I expect you to try. I don't think that you're lying about it. And then it's like, if you can't, then that's when I make my own decision saying, okay, even though you're trying, it's not getting anywhere unless some people are like, well, trying is all that matters. To me, outcomes are pretty much what matters. So it's like, but I think it's also mature them if they know that it's not going to change, kind of why string you along for another few months? Like,
Right. I guess if they're hoping that like you won't care. Like if, for example, with the relationship one that you gave, if he knew off rip that like he wasn't gonna change, but he was just gonna say, I'll try just with hopes that you wouldn't break up with him, would you have rathered him just say from the beginning, I'm not gonna change?
I guess I would have rather him have said that, being like, hey, I'm not going to change, because then I would have taken the standpoint of if you're not even going to try to make this better, it's like, then I already have my answer.
Yeah. I think with in terms of like what are you doing in that situation for me, I think if it's family and they say they're not going to change, I wouldn't end that relationship. I mean, I would again try to communicate like how important it is to me that you change and why and how that makes me feel. But at the end of the day, for me at least, family is family, and I would like to keep all of my familial relationships,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what it is. Anything outside of family, if something bothers you and they don't even try to change, I think you got to cut it off.
Agree with that. I think that maybe it's just how we were raised, which I think is another like beautiful thing, is that if you're like, okay, I'll accept you for who you are with all of your flaws, and you accept me for who I am with all of my flaws, and it's like we can still make this work without it being a perfect dynamic. Like it can still be a substantial happy relationship without it being you're doing everything I want. I just think with relationships that it kind of will like snowball.
Yeah.
Like romantic, that it's like, okay, well, if you let them do it one time, it's going to turn into something bigger when they're like the father of your kids versus you. I don't know if there's something that you do that I don't like. I feel like it's more just like, oh, she's being annoying again. She always does this. I'm not going to be like, hey, if you don't stop doing that, I'm literally going to stop talking to you. Like, that's just not a thought in my mind for family.
Yeah. I also think it does kind of come with years
That's very true too.
because I think it's important to like nip things in the bud early. But
Agreed.
I don't know, because also it's like, what if you've had a childhood best friend and like an issue doesn't arise until 10 years into your friendship and they're like, oh, well, I'm not changing. It's like, okay, now do you consider them family in that same sense? Or because this happened to me. Like I lost a best friend of like 7+ years over a silly, well, to me it was silly, but to her it was something super important. And I was like, this is just how I feel about this topic. And the friendship ended just like that because this conversation had never happened before. But it's like she was like, I can't be your friend if you think this way. And it was just nothing I could do about it. But I don't know. For me, it wasn't a big deal. And I was just like, this is how I think. And it just ended. But I don't know. I feel like if I was on the other side of it, like I was fine with her thinking the way that she thought, but she wasn't. So I guess for you, like if someone of years of friendship says something and they're like, I'm not changing. How do you view that? Does it just depend what it is and how important it is to you?
I would say, I don't know, because I want to think that like years do. I don't know. Do you think that like time does mean that much? Like, I feel like when you say it like that, being like, oh, yeah, we were friends for 8 years, it's like a lot can happen in 8 years, but at the same, like, in the same breath, if something like how you were just like, obviously your situation wasn't as serious as murder, but it's like, if I've been your sister for your 20 years of your life and I kill somebody, are you going to be like, oh, well, we were sisters for 20 years? Like, I don't know. I think that might be like too much of a dramatic of an example because I just don't know how much I value like time. It's like, because if I'm dating somebody for like 2 years and then they start acting up, like if they start cheating on me after 2 years, obviously it'll be tough and emotional of me being like, oh, we had such a great relationship for 2 years, but it's like, this is what it is now. Like, you're not the same
Yeah.
person you were 2 years ago. This is who you are now, and not cool with it anymore.
Yeah, I that's a tough one.
And it is because it's like, I get that. Because with like your situation, can it just be that it's like, okay, I'm different, you're different. Let's just accept that we both have different beliefs and it is what it is, but we just don't need to talk about it. Like, we went 8 years without talking about
Right.
it. Why all of a sudden is this an issue?
I guess just my perspective was like, you're really gonna throw away 7 years of a friendship over this one thing. But again, looking at her perspective, clearly it meant that much to her, and that just changed her entire view. So, I mean, nothing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know, like, we're not gonna say it. I know what you're talking about though, and I think yours is just something that like does not need half of it. It's like it just does not need to get brought up in relationships. Like, it doesn't even need to be talked about. At the same time, I feel like you're like, that is a part of like your what's that M word I'm looking for? It's like core beliefs, like values, like,
Morals?
yeah, yeah, like your moral beliefs.
Yeah, whatever.
So yeah, a tough one. So yeah, if somebody tells you, I guess the final, yeah, when I wrote out this episode, I was like, this is gonna be so quick and easy, but everything is very, which you called it from the start, being like, it's like, well,
It's situational.
it is very situational. I thought it was gonna be very black and white, being like, what do you do if your friend doesn't text you back when you make plans? Oh well, you should call
Why
them
didn't
out
they
on
pick
it
you
so they
up?
don't. You should call them out on it so that they don't do it again. But it's like, what if they actually were busy? What if they didn't have the intention of blowing you off? And what if they just weren't thinking of you and this and that? So, this is pretty much the final thought, the final question. What about for you personally? What I wrote was when to accept who we are or if we can change. Like, let's say that you're super high strung in this, I was going to say with school, but you're not going to be in school forever. But if you're like, I need to be a perfectionist, I need to get things done directly to the book, do you think you're always going to be like that, or do you think that you could reach a point in your life where you're like, it is too stressful for me to always be a perfectionist, I'm going to be type B and just care less, if that's what you want to do?
I think you can always change. It's just a matter of how much you want to. I feel like the one thing that I usually say like won't change is cheating. I always think like once a cheater, always a cheater, but I know that a lot of people believe in like giving people second chances and like can people really change and that whole aspect, but I don't know. I think people can always change if they really truly want to. And I know that I do give people a lot of chances, but I've always said if someone cheats, like that's it. That's you're not getting another chance. But
In the same relationship or in general? Like, if somebody cheats on you, do you think they're going to go to their next relationship and cheat on them? Or are you saying if somebody cheats on you once and you take them back, they're going to keep cheating
definitely the second one where it's like in the same relationship.
again?
But
Mm-hmm.
I also do in the first because again, it comes down to the principle of it. Like if you didn't have enough respect for your relationship, regardless of who it is, to end things with them and then do what you want to do, or just, not do that, then it's like your views on relationships are just not important to you. You don't have that principle of loyalty. Like, I don't care how unhappy you are, unsatisfied you are, like, just break up with them and then go do what you want to do.
For the cheating note, my like core belief in that, I agree with you. If it's in the same relationship, they do it once, they probably will do it again, especially if you take them back. I think that literally goes down to conditioning, where it's like if a dog does something bad and you don't punish them for it, they'll keep doing something bad,
Yeah.
which is what cheating is. But I don't necessarily think that they'll do it in every relationship, because let's say they cheated and then the girl was like, broke up with them. All hell broke loose. They told everybody, they posted it on social media. Now everybody knows that he cheated on her. So now he's like, I will never do that again. That was so embarrassing for me. I lost the love of my life over literally a fling. Then I would hope that that's enough in their mind to be like, damn, like that was not right. Like that's kind of their punishment to make them realize.
Yeah, you would hope.
You would hope.
But I think overall, people can change if they really truly want to. And if they say they can't, I think that's just that they don't want to bad enough.
Well, I think it's interesting that when I asked if you can change, you were like, yeah, I can always change. But then when it comes to somebody else, you're more like, I don't know, they might be just stuck in their ways.
Yeah. I mean, I always think like there's a quote where it's like, whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. I think you might have even, not that
I
you,
talked about it.
I think you quoted it or something. And I fully agree with that. And it's like you were saying, like, I need to plan everything out. I'm very type A. So, like, I know that that's how I am. And I'm okay with that. So it's like, I could change it. I just don't want to. Like, I don't care to. So I think if you genuinely, really, really, really want to change something, I think you can, as long as it's not trying to change someone else. But when it's yourself, I think you have full control over that.
I 100% agree with that. It works the same with in a relationship. If there's something that you're telling them, being like, hey, change this, change this. If they don't want to, like, you cannot force anybody to, which brings us into very briefly, because there's 4 minutes left, so we got to wrap this up. But the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, which essentially is that it's let them theory is if someone wants to leave, cancel plans, not invite you, act distant, let them. Stop forcing, controlling, or chasing. Just let them and see who naturally stays in your life. It's about surrendering control, setting emotional boundaries, and recognizing what people's actions are about them, not you. When you let them, you free yourself from attachment to outcomes and open space for people who genuinely want to be in your life.
So you, for a majority of these things, you kind of believe in that.
Yeah, I'm just pretty stubborn in my thoughts, being like, if you're screwing me over, how do you not realize that you're screwing me over? And then I think that like maybe they are just being ignorant and don't even realize what they're doing. Like even if they don't have malicious intentions, it's still the outcome. Like this
Yeah.
is still what is happening, and I think if I am repeatedly getting screwed over and feeling negatively about something, I will mention it if it reaches a point. If it continually happens and I'm like, hey, I really care about this relationship, like we need to fix something, like if it was like a romantic relationship or like one of my best, I was gonna say one of like my best friends, but like we're talking about the home stuff, that I'm like, I didn't even
Yeah.
really say anything about it because I'm like, it, in my opinion, it looks like you've changed. So this, I still do not feel fully like released with everything. I think because usually I'm hoping to like find clarity in these, but this is very situation to situation,
It
being
is.
like, I think, yeah, bottom line, it comes down to, are you okay with them not changing? Are they that important in your life that if you're continually getting let down or misled, that you're like, you know what? Like, I love them too much. And everything doesn't need to be sunshine and rainbows for every relationship. Like you're
Right.
gonna have issues with somebody, but
Yeah, I think my thing is just say if something bothers you, say something and then you can choose how to act. But I feel like just putting things out there is the biggest thing because I hate not knowing like what's going on.
I think that that is more mature because then you kind of, but also I don't know if that would hurt then because now you're getting the other person's insight. You know what I mean? Like you're giving them a chance to speak, which is good, but it's also giving them a chance to like manipulate you to being so where if I'm saying somebody's continually not answering your text and you be like, "Hey, it hurts me when you don't answer my text," and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that," but it's like
Yeah, but also you can't expect someone to change if you don't say something, like if they don't know that it's bothering you.
very, 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 very true. All right, girly pop. I'm gonna call you after this so we could obviously like talk about this. But to wrap up this episode, guys, all right, less than a minute left. Thank you, Miss Tiffany, my beautiful, loving, gorgeous sister, for joining me today. With that all said, everybody, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and thank you for everything, actually. Bye, sexies. See you in the next episode.